Hey everyone, and welcome to the third season of Unpacked, a podcast by Afar. I'm Aislyn, and as you can probably tell by this giant microphone in front of my face, I host the show. Every week on the podcast, we unpack a different tricky topic in travel, and this week is no exception. This is Unpacked. Paul, welcome back to Unpacked. It's so nice to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be back.
And you have, let's just talk for a moment about your background, because I'm seeing your suitcase and I think a map, and this is feeling very travel appropriate.
I kind of set it up a little bit for the occasion, so you wouldn't see into my kitchen.
That's amazing.
But yes, I have a lot of suitcases, big and small, and one of the many wonderful things that I do for Afar is review suitcases. So these behind me are more like props. They're not ones that I've reviewed, but to shamelessly plug some of my suitcase reviews, on the website you can read very detailed reviews about my Rimowa, my Tumi, and a few other ones to come.
Amazing. I also have my suitcase in my background, but it's covered up by a dust protector. So look at us, two
Nice.
travel people.
Nice. Nice.
Maybe we'll talk about suitcases together. But today we're
Yeah.
actually here to talk about travel loyalty programs, which such a big, complex, crazy topic.
Yes.
I mean,
Big
what is
and
your
complex.
Yes. What's your backstory? Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into this and what your expertise is?
I mean, similar to credit cards, I
Which we
pretty much
talked
have
about
every
last
credit
season.
card. I am a member to nearly every major airline and hotel loyalty program out there,
Wow.
both domestic and internationally, and have been
Wow.
since college. So not only that, I have most of my family members enrolled in the key programs. I do this because you have to remember it costs nothing to join these programs. All
Oh,
frequent
yeah.
flyer programs or
Yeah.
loyalty programs are free to join. So you have nothing to lose, everything to gain. And
Mhm.
points and miles, like since COVID, a lot of programs have changed their policies and points and miles no longer expire. So you can bank these miles in 2024 and forget you have them. And then 2027, you're just on the second time you've ever flown a random airline, and voila, you already have some points, and then maybe you'll have enough points to get something out of it. So they're not going to rot if you leave them in your account for years. Um, I know that I've had success with loyalty programs because I am type A and I keep a spreadsheet of all of my loyalty program numbers and passwords. For
Wow.
people who are not spreadsheet inclined, there's a website, an app called Award Wallet, where you
Oh,
just enter in all your information and it keeps track of all of them for you.
that's amazing. What a good
So,
idea.
yeah, so when I give, and it sounds overwhelming, like, oh, hey, join 10 different loyalty programs, but you can manage it all in one place. So that makes
That's
it
great.
simple.
And like you said, if they're free, there's no charge. It's not like getting a credit card where you might want to, pick and choose. Like you could join them all and
Right. Like
just
you're not going to
turn
be
off the
slapped with an annual fee next year, like,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
God, what did I do?
Just don't click subscribe to the newsletter, right?
Right. Actually, except for ours, yes.
Yes,
I will
exactly.
say just make sure that you are opted out of marketing material so you don't get about 10
Up
emails a week.
Yes, yes. Okay. Well, at the very beginning, you mentioned the complexity of these programs, and it just feels to me like so much has shifted in this world. So, where are we? Where do they stand in 2024? Like, have they improved? Are we in a good place?
Okay, so I mean, the question of have loyalty programs improved is a huge question, but I'm going to try
Yeah.
to start short and sweet.
Okay.
So overall loyalty programs in 2024 are worse than they were in years back. But it's been a downward trend for years. It's just that it's nothing new. Everyone just happens to be talking about it this year because I think with travel revenge, everyone out in the skies, chaos at airports, people trying to get into lounges, everyone's kind of really wanted to get in on the loyalty program game this year. And so
Yeah.
they're becoming more aware of like what it is to be part of some of these programs. But yes, we've seen this downward trend over the years. So from 2023 to 2024, it's not actually that bad. There have been some negative changes, some are status quo, some are slightly positive. We'll go over those hopefully more in detail later. But yes, if we look back 5 years ago, it costs more points to redeem for flights. It's harder to get elite status. There's just a decline, but still opportunities. So don't
Okay.
give up hope.
So still sign up for all of them, get
Still
the
do
app.
it.
Still do
Still
it.
do it. Still do it.
Why would you say that? For someone who's like, "Oh, this seems like a lot to manage."
Because you sometimes you can get free flights and free hotel stays easier than you think.
Mm.
It might not be over the holiday break or over summer break when most people want them, but there are other opportunities. And for example, I'm going to Mexico with my cousin in a few weeks.
Mhm.
She was not enrolled in the American Airlines program. We're flying American, and I had her enroll, then got her credit retroactively for a flight she had taken 2 months prior. And then now, after our Mexico flights, she'll probably have about 9,000 American Airlines Advantage points in her account,
Wow,
which can often get you a domestic one-way ticket. So
nice.
who doesn't want a free ticket? And all it
Yeah,
took was to just sign up, which 30 seconds, and then put her
yeah,
number in. That's it.
yeah.
So it is worth it. It is worth it. And the landscape is constantly changing. So
Amazing.
there are good deals. They're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
there. Yes,
And if you're still traveling anyway, why not get the rewards for it, right? Like, why
exactly.
not get something, even if it takes you longer to get a free flight?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for people who aren't as familiar, or maybe you're newer to this, what are the kind of broad categories of loyalty programs?
The big loyalty programs are with hotels and airlines, but your points programs through credit card companies are also considered loyalty programs.
Got
So
it.
the credit card ones are the most straightforward.
Hmm.
You are part of the loyalty program just by having the card. The foremost examples would be American Express, Chase, and Capital One. They have rewards programs, and you earn based on your spending. You get bonus points for more spending. And these are for their general travel cards like the Platinum and Gold cards from American Express, the Capital
Hmm.
One, Venture X for Capital One, and then the Chase Sapphire Preferred and Reserve. These credit cards, like their reward programs, A, you're earning the points, and then B, you can redeem your points by transferring them to partner loyalty programs with hotels and airlines.
Got it.
But they also have VIP offerings as cardholders, which makes it feel like you are being rewarded as a customer. So last month, I attended Art Basel in Miami Beach, one of the biggest art fairs in the world every year. And I had access to some incredible events just for being a card holder to some of these cards and like as part of their loyalty program. So I went and had a private dinner with Jose Andres, like the Jose Andres,
Yeah. Wow.
for $125 as a Capital One Venture X Rewards card holder, in
Okay.
a gorgeous high design setting and unlimited glass of Laurent Perrier champagne, a three
Wow.
course dinner with the chef himself. And then I also went to the Miguel and Becky G concerts, which was through Chase. That was 20,000 points to get a ticket to the concert. Again,
Wow.
included all food and drink. I mean,
Wow.
so there are like some people don't realize that you're these top credit cards kind of have like loyalty embedded in them. It's
I
not just the
see.
sign up bonus, it's not just the lounge access, but they
Yeah.
have that. Plus, they also have their own hotel programs. So for American Express, this is Fine Hotels and Resorts. And for Capital One, it's the Premier Collection. And when you book through their portals, you get like 100, like for the Premier Collection from Capital One, you get $100 experience credit.
Mm.
And you also get late checkout. Now, if you do the programs through the credit cards, you can't also collect miles on the actual loyalty programs of those hotels.
I
So,
see.
but
You have
but
to
that's
pick.
the credit card like
Okay.
quick spiel. You know I'm like crazy about my credit cards.
And we will
But
link to the
oh yeah,
episode that you did on the
oh yeah.
credit cards and all of your, so in the
Oh,
show
for
notes,
sure.
all the resources will be there.
Okay, perfect. But so for listeners also new to this world, for actual hotel and airline loyalty programs, like they're going to vary from program to program. I mean, that goes without
I
saying.
see.
But
Sure.
we're looking at like which programs to be loyal to in 2024. You need to note that elite status qualification years vary by program. So for hotels, they're by calendar year. Same thing for Southwest and United. They do their elite status qualifying year from January 1st to December 31st. But
Got
then
it.
Delta does it from February 1st to January 31st, and American does it from March 1st to February 28th. So I know it's really hard. But in general, if you earn elite status in a qualifying year, you end up having it for the rest of that qualifying year and then the next qualifying year. So I personally, my top status is with American Airlines.
Yeah.
So I've earned status already for this qualifying year. So
Hmm.
I now have status until February 28th, 2025.
Got it. Oh wow. Okay. So it really
So
extends.
it
Yeah.
extends. So it's the full qualifying year in which you earn it, plus the entire 365 days afterwards. And
Okay. Yeah.
then once you actually have that status, it often is easier to get status again because you
Yeah.
have these bonus percentages for every stay or flight that you do, which makes it faster to earn the actual qualifying points that will get you elite status for the next year.
I see. So it's
We've
almost
just gone
like,
from 0 to 100. Sorry, we're
yeah.
like,
No, no, it's great.
we're like, ah. But I will say, there are, I have written several articles about everything that we are discussing, and
Yeah.
which breaks it down in a very simplistic manner. So it
Great.
just will take a little bit of reading and homework. So like this is like the general overview from,
Get you
you know,
excited about
the
it.
101 to the PhD level course, but you can then go back to all of the individual courses.
This is your master class.
Yeah.
Can we start with hotels? So if you either, have the credit cards settled or you're not doing the credit cards and you want to, participate in a hotel loyalty program, which one or ones would you recommend, especially for 2024?
Okay, so I'm going to start with good news, which
Okay.
is that hotel programs haven't been decimated the same way that airline loyalty
Oh,
programs have
interesting.
been.
Yeah.
There have been some devaluations and with how valuable the points are for redeeming free nights, especially with
Mm.
Marriott Bonvoy, but it's not the doom and gloom that like we hear about the airline industry. So
Yeah.
we have the
Yeah.
four big hotel loyalty programs, which are Marriott Bonvoy, Hilton Honors, World of Hyatt, and IHG One Rewards. Bonvoy is the biggest and the one that everyone hears about the most, but it's definitely not the best in my opinion, especially
Why
if you're
is that?
starting out.
Okay.
So if you achieve top status with them, which requires so many nights and spending so much money,
Wow.
you will have an amazing Marriott experience. But to get to that point, you almost have to be someone who lives in a hotel,
Wow. Yeah. Like a true business
or
traveler.
a true business traveler. So you're just frequenting hotels more than
Yeah.
even like your average business traveler. For people who've only been at this for a few years, I would
Yeah.
definitely say consider World of Hyatt or Hilton Honors. World of Hyatt, not as big as the others, but it's my favorite hotel loyalty program, hands down. To get the highest status with Hyatt requires 60 nights.
Mm. Okay.
Comparatively with Marriott, it's 100 nights.
Wow.
So that's a huge difference. But with Hyatt, the perks of elite status are arguably the greatest, and their
Okay.
points are the most valuable of any hotel or airline loyalty program out there. For example, I want to cash in some World of Hyatt points for a night at the Park Hyatt Vendôme in Paris. I just like looked this up this morning. In June, I want to go for a night. It's 1,900 euros for a night if I want to pay cash, or like $2,100. But I can get it with 45,000 World of Hyatt points.
Wow.
If I want to get an equivalent hotel that is part of Marriott Bonvoy, it would require probably like closer to 1 cent per point value. So it'd be more like 200,000 Marriott Bonvoy points.
Wow.
So, going back to people who are new at this, and we'll also reiterate this as we go on, every program is different, but every program has its own points or miles that need to be viewed as their own currencies. So the dollar and the peso and the euro are all not equal. So you're not just like getting elite status and having all of these great benefits. As you climb the elite ladder, you're getting rewarded along the way. So
that's cool.
That's really nice. And they've had the milestone rewards like for a while, but they just revamped the entire program. And these rewards come in the form of like a free night stay, bonus points, suite upgrades. There are a lot of rewards to be had. And actually, as we were saying, we're going to link to some articles. I had an article just come out called Everything You Need to Know About Hyatt's Loyalty Program Changes for 2024.
Oh, great. Okay.
Which came out a few weeks ago. So you can look at that.
And what are the perks once you hit elite status with Hyatt? And how do you accrue points? Is it only through staying?
So you can accrue points through stays, but also credit card spending. So
Got it.
For
Okay.
World of Hyatt,
they have a card. Okay.
They have their own card. They have their own business and personal card. And with the cards, you actually get like a boost towards elite status. You get like 5 qualifying nights. And I think the current offer, offers vary over time, but the current offer, I believe, is 60,000 points after spending, let's say, perhaps $5,000 or $6,000 in 6 months. It's something along those lines. The other way to get World of Hyatt points is, and my favorite way to do it, is through Chase Sapphire Preferred and Chase Sapphire Reserve. So when you bank points through their program, which is Ultimate Rewards, you can then transfer Ultimate Rewards to other loyalty programs, one of which is World of Hyatt. So if you get the Chase Sapphire Reserve and that sign up bonuses on one of the specials of 80,000 or the regular offer of 60,000, once you bank those points, you can then transfer that full amount at a 1-to-1 ratio to World of Hyatt.
Got it.
And then also, once you have the elite perks, one of like my favorite with Hyatt is the get almost guaranteed late checkout. So
nice.
I have, lucky me, I have globalist status, and as a globalist, I get suite upgrades if available. So if there's any suite in the hotel that is not occupied, I'm getting it, which is amazing. Even if I paid or booked on miles at the lowest rate, I will get that upgrade to the top room.
And globalist is the top tier.
Yeah, globalist is after 60 nights.
Okay.
And with the World of Hyatt card, if you get that, you get their first rung automatically as well. Besides the 5 qualifying nights, you actually get Explorer status. The other thing I wanted to mention about hotel programs is, so if you're going to go all in and you are going to spend several nights, or let's say tens of nights throughout the year, go for World of Hyatt. If you don't have like tons of travel plan, but you want to have like the perks of like being a top elite, then I would say consider going for Hilton Honors, because they are unique in that with their credit card, you automatically can get top status just by having the card. So the Hilton Aspire card, which is one of Hilton's co-branded cards, comes with diamond status, which is the top. And you can get those big upgrades. You will get a $50 a night credit per person at the Waldorf and any Waldorf hotel in Conrad when you stay. So that's $100. which is incredible. And then you can get late checkout sometimes. It depends on the property, but you
Yeah.
will have all those benefits just by being a card holder. Now, of
Got it.
course, that card is expensive
Yeah.
and it's like around 500.
Okay.
If you don't want to spend that kind of money to get elite status, you can go for the Surpass card, which is the Hilton Surpass is their other co-branded card. It's 150 a year. It comes with all kinds of benefits and credits, which defray the cost, but you get automatic gold status, which has its own lineup of perks. And finally, the Platinum card from American Express, which is one of our favorite cards here at Afar, as part of being a card holder, gives you automatic gold status with both Marriott, Bonvoy, and Hilton Honors once you enroll. So that's
Wow.
like you can automatically get hotel status just by being a platinum card holder in both those big programs.
Got
So
it.
much information. I know.
It's
It's
just, it
exhausting.
is. Are there any other ways that you would say that travelers should try to maximize these programs in 2024 if they already belong? I mean, I have accounts with both World of Hyatt and Marriott, and I just accrue points randomly. Like I'm not trying to hit status, but I have been able to use my Hyatt points quite frequently, which has been great. Somehow I ended up with a bunch and I was able to book a night up in Sacramento recently. And anyway, they've been really useful.
Yeah, I would say look at like they're okay, you don't want to sign up for every marketing email, but you want to get some if you are investing into the loyalty program because I just got 3,000 bonus points from Hyatt because I registered for a promotion for quarter four. Like if you stay 3 nights, even with points, we're going to give you 3,000 bonus points. So those little promotions do
Mm.
help. Also, you can look out for transfer bonuses going back to the credit cards and their programs and the ability to transfer from credit card points to loyalty programs and hotels. American Express often has a promotion with Hilton where you can get like 2.8 Hilton points for every American Express point. And so then that kind of adds up very quickly. So be
Yeah.
on the lookout for those promotions for sure.
Okay. Well, that's good to know to not totally unsubscribe
No, no, no. Don't totally unsubscribe.
to life. Okay. Now I feel like we need to talk about airlines. Hotels seem a little bit, more positive, more straightforward. Airlines have had a rocky year.
Yes. Yeah.
So where are we at with airlines in
Okay.
2024?
Where we at? All right. So airline programs, they keep trying to make them simpler, so they say, but they've just become more and more complicated, and they all follow a completely different system. So for this year, the big four U.S. airlines, which are American, Southwest, Delta, and United, which account for 74% of U.S. airline seats. We have some positive news for Southwest. We have negative news for Delta, as everybody knows. And we have like very, very weak sauce positive news for United. So in terms of trying to, figure out like what is the good, the bad, and the ugly here and
Mhm.
where you stand and how to approach this. Okay. So
Yeah.
I say if you live near a hub for a specific airline or an alliance, that clearly like could make the most sense for you because they have a large
Mhm.
presence. You can get it's the easiest way to move up the ladder in terms of elite status because you're going to need to fly that airline quickly. Sometimes I like to choose an airline that has like the second largest presence in an airport because if you're flying Delta out of Atlanta, for
Mhm.
example, there are so many people flying Delta out of Atlanta. So their top elites are all flying out of Atlanta.
I
They are
see.
always
Yeah.
going to get priority for the complimentary upgrades, which is like what we covet in elite status. We all want to be
Yeah.
upgraded. That's never going to happen for you, most
Yeah.
likely, if you
Competition.
are flying out of that hub.
Hmm.
The other thing is, again, if we're like when we start breaking down some of the programs themselves, United and Delta, their metric for elite status is how much you spend on the airline, whether it's
Okay.
like flights with their alliances, seat upgrades. And so you're not going to achieve like top status unless you spend a ton of money, like tens of thousands. So that will work out really well for people in business that have like company cards that, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Like they have like no spending cap. They're just going to
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
with like what works for them. But if you're going on your own dime, which is what I do, that's why I go with American Airlines. So
I see.
they have a different program, which is it's called loyalty points. Another complicated program, but the bottom line for loyalty points is that you can achieve many points towards elite status without actually ever flying. So I do fly American a lot, but like if I was basing my elite status on flights alone, I would only have gold status. But
Got it.
because American has this bit more well-rounded program,
Hmm.
I have executive platinum, which is top status. How so? Because one, of course, I have their credit card, which
Of
gives
course.
which gives status boosts. Like once you hit 50,000 points, you get a 10,000 point boost. Once you hit 90,000 points, you get another 10,000 point boost.
Yeah.
But you can earn points with them through Advantage's shopping portal, through a program called Simply Miles that they have, and then through their dining program, which
Got it.
again, oh my God, to sign up for more things. Yeah, you do. Like you want those free business class seats, you do got to sign up for those things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so recently, their network of rewards within bundled under loyalty programs, like for example, this Simply Miles program. Simply Miles basically works with any MasterCard. You register your MasterCard and then you get points deposited in your American Airlines account for doing certain transactions.
Mm.
Just recently, they had a promotion, which if you give a $50 donation to Conservation International, you get 1,750 loyalty points, which is a
I love
lot.
that.
Like
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
the equivalent with other airlines of spending a lot of money. So
Hmm.
50, and you could do it 3 times. So through that,
Yeah.
I got over 5,000 points. And I love
Wow.
Conservation International. I wanted to give a
Yeah.
donation anyway. So it worked out. And
Exactly.
now I banked tons of points. Similarly,
Mm.
with I did a lot of my holiday shopping through their portal. I ended up getting 9,000 points through the
Wow.
shopping portal
Wow.
because they sometimes give like 10 points per dollar spent. And all these little things, they add up. And I bank far more miles through American's affiliate network than I do actually by flying American. So
Yeah.
for someone
Interesting.
who is trying to do this on their own dime and doesn't have a company paying or like is not prepared to spend $50,000 on flights, the American Airlines program is, out of the big ones, the best one.
Okay.
Now, as far as Southwest goes, they are making elite status easier in 2024. So that's like really exciting news. They've knocked down the number of qualifying segments that you need to get elite status. But it's Southwest, which we love because everyone's equal, right? But like
Yeah.
then you don't really like elite status doesn't really do much for you, right? You're not going to get business class because it doesn't exist. You're not going to get free bags, so you already get them. So
So
elite
why?
status with Southwest is a little bit of a non-event. What you
Uh-huh.
will get is like if you're A-list preferred, you'll get 2 drinks per flight. And if you're A-list, you get free same-day standby. A-list preferred also gets free Wi-Fi, but it's kind of small. And we have to
I
remember
see.
that
Yeah.
Southwest A-list, which is their elite program, is not the same as Companion Pass, which is
Yeah.
their BOGO program. Like you earn points towards both when you fly, but the Companion Pass, funny enough, is easier to get because you can do credit card promotions. And if you sign up for like 2 of their cards, like a business and a personal, you can get enough points since those welcome points count towards companion status, but not towards elite status. You can actually get a companion pass very quickly, but then earning elite status might take more time. So there's
Yeah. I
positive news
see.
coming out of Southwest, but kind of a
Yeah.
non-event.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. It's maybe not the one to prioritize unless for some reason it's the only airline that you can fly.
Yes, but I do love I continue to love Southwest for what they do offer their passengers.
That's great. Okay. Well, last year there was some news. You alluded to it earlier, some news on the Delta front.
Yeah.
They outlined some changes to their program and then they swiftly backpedaled.
Yes.
Why do you think that they did that? Why do you think they undid some of those changes?
Okay, well, so they got crazy customer backlash. But the truth of the matter is the other programs did so many similar things, but like years past. For
Huh.
Delta, it was just really poor timing. Like I told you this year, everyone's really become their
Paying
own expert
attention.
in
Yeah.
loyalty programs and airport lounges, and they think they know everything about it. And I will say Delta did devalue Sky Miles, like the worth of them, especially for international tickets a few years back. A lot of people were upset about that, but kind of no one said anything. When they
Yeah.
came out with this news, it was like a double whammy. So they were first changing the elite status qualifications, but then also changing lounge access. So I think they thought, all
Yeah.
right, let's just kind of like rip off the band-aid and just tell them
Yeah.
everything that's happening. And the elite status changes were for 2024. The lounge policies weren't even going to be till 2025, but they were just like, we're just going to tell them all at once.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to let them know. And so people got upset. However, you know, in one of my articles that came out in early December, when a United announced that a few changes to its program, yeah, United has not made any negative changes this year.
Mm.
However, the current United program makes it harder to achieve first rung silver status than Delta's new program. So everyone's so mad at Delta, but Delta is still easier to get status on than United.
Interesting. So it was more just
It's
like a
just
PR misstep.
it's a PR misstep and again timing because everyone's paying
Yeah.
attention right now. People were
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
paying so much attention like 2 years ago because so many points have been accrued during COVID. People hadn't used them, and
Yeah.
everyone had. It's almost like everyone had like the equivalent of funny money and points. Like they
Yeah.
were like, "Oh yeah, I can spend these points. I don't care. It's fine. It's fine." But now everyone's kind of tightening. Inflation has hit the points world. They're
Uh-huh.
like, "Wait, I don't want to use those points.
Those are my
I want my
precious
elite
points.
status." I know.
Yeah.
So,
Where's my lounge
um,
access?
so I think that Delta took the heat for
Hmm.
everything that everyone's been doing in the industry. And it
Yeah.
was frustrating when they announced it because it was a lot at once.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I will say they were smart and that they backpedaled quickly and they made some significant changes. And it's definitely much easier, or it's going to be better now than what the original plans were for the overhaul of the program.
And are they still taking place in 24 and 2025?
Yes. So in 2024, Delta will move to a single metric, which is the medallion qualifying dollars, but you will get a boost towards status if you have like a Delta Reserve card, which will make it kind of, I think once you spend I think it's 3,500 on Delta or 20. I have to check 35 or 4,000. You will have your
Yeah.
status because of
Yeah.
the boost. Yes. The other thing is, I mentioned that United came out with this news of like they're making no changes to elite status, but like some positive changes in how you can earn elite status. Again, a non-event, but it was well timed. Like while Delta was just kind of like down on the floor, like they just kind of like punched right in and kicked them,
Wow.
and they're like, "Oh yeah,
Wow.
we're gonna show you," but they're giving more qualifying points to people who spend on their co-branded cards. But even with these new figures of like how many points you'll get towards elite status for spending, I think it's something like you have to spend $100,000 to get it through spending alone, which is crazy. But anyway, again, it was a good PR move.
How do you see Alaska fitting into all of this?
They have there are quite a few changes happening with Alaska. I'm not sure. I'm waiting to see if the merger with Hawaiian, or like I would say the takeover of Hawaiian,
Yeah.
actually happens. Alaska is changing their mileage redemption levels in 2024, so the miles will not be as valuable.
Mm,
However,
mm.
now that they became part of One World Alliance last year, there's just so many synergies between American and Alaska, and then soon, hopefully, Hawaiian, that if you live in that market, like, I mean,
Yeah.
it makes sense to be part of. But I love Alaska Airlines, but I can never like I get a buy one get one free certificate from them every year for having
Yeah.
their credit card.
Yeah.
Because again, I have every credit card, but I never use it because it just
Oh, it
living on the
doesn't
East
work.
Coast, I just don't have the opportunity to really use it. But yes, they do have a solid program. They still treat their customers well, but it's changing rapidly now that they're part of One World, and then it will change. This one is bound to change significantly depending on what happens with Hawaiian, because Hawaiian's
Got it.
program is definitely inferior to Alaska's. So which one they will adopt and how this will
Mm.
work remains to be seen. That'll probably be
That's
like
a
the big story going into 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I living on the West Coast, I fly Alaska a lot, and my mom was a flight attendant with Horizon, which was their,
Oh,
is their
uh-huh.
subsidiary. And so I've just been Alaska, and so I'm really curious to know how that's going to play out. So hopefully they stick with the Alaska program because it's good. It's pretty good.
I know, and they also serve those amazing local beers, or not local. Oh,
And
the beers like the Seattle beers, the Portland
yes,
beers, the Alaska beers, so good.
I know. And they have the little stowaway cocktails. They have this really
Hmm.
great old fashioned that is like on every flight.
I
That's
know.
my drink.
I hope they don't
Um,
get rid of it.
so we've talked a lot about programs and how to maximize them. Do you ever think it's worth buying points or miles? Because like right now I'm getting all these offers like 50% off. There's these great email deals, but it just never seems like it's worth it from my perspective.
So I think like if you're a neophyte, then kind of stay away. But I'm a big fan of buying points and miles at the right time with the right programs. Again, we have two articles
Interesting.
on this. I have an article
Okay.
on buying airline points and an article on
Yeah.
buying hotel points. I think it's less risky to buy hotel points
Mm,
specifically for IHG One Rewards and Hilton, because when they put
okay.
them on sale, they sell them for 50 cents a point. And almost always you can cash out those points for more than 50 cents a point. So
Got it.
you're typically like looking at a cost beneficial purchase.
Yeah.
The other reason I like to buy points in both of those programs if I haven't earned enough myself
Hmm.
is that they have amazing offers where if so with Hilton, if you're a member and have elite status, even like the lowest elite status, or if you have the elite status through having the platinum card from Capital One or whatever,
Hmm.
uh, they they have an offer where if you get 5 nights, the fifth one is free. So it's called like 5 for 4. So you're getting
Mm,
5 nights at the price of four. So if with Hilton points, if the hotel is 90,000 points a night, then you're paying 360,000 points for 5 nights instead of 450,000, which
wow.
is
Okay.
incredible. And then if
Yeah.
you're buying those points, 360,000 points at 50 cents a point is $1,800. Also, when you book with points, you're not paying resort fees. So I have used this like where I have purchased a sum of points and spent $1,800 for 5 night stay that would have cost six or $7,000.
Wow.
But again, you have to make sure that the dates are available with points and that it is a
Hmm.
cost beneficial thing. So it's a little bit more of an advanced thing to do. I I don't recommend buying most airline points because typically they sell them like way above what market value is. Maybe if you like need to have a few extra points to get that ticket, consider
Hmm.
it. But sometimes I personally buy American points because they are partners with Qatar Airways, my favorite, and they
Yeah.
have the Q Suite, which is my favorite. And I recently got a round trip to Johannesburg
Mm.
from Miami for 140,000 points, which, yes, by buying the points cost me about $2,700. But had I purchased that ticket, it would have been $10,000.
Wow.
So, and I would have
Wow.
never purchased
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly, because it's
so the
too
economy ticket
much.
was going to be like 1,500. Then I'm like, oh, I could buy points and get it for 2,700 and
Yeah.
business. I'm going to do that. So yeah,
How
so sometimes it's worth it, but we have both the articles that
okay.
kind of break it all down.
And how do you calculate the value of a point?
I mean,
Run the
I
calculation.
do it myself, but yes,
Yeah.
it is out there. Like if you just Google like different blogs value points at a different amount, sometimes they're fixed amounts. Typically, like a JetBlue point is pegged to the dollar, Southwest is pegged to the dollar. It doesn't vary wildly, but
Yeah.
with some of the other programs, yes, the value changes, but there are
Okay.
general trends. So that I had mentioned earlier that World of Hyatt has the most valuable current points currency, and that's again, if you look at it, that Park Hyatt Vendome, 45,000 points or $2,100, that shows that like you're getting over 4 cents per point. But then with Marriott, like an equivalent hotel's 200,000 points, you're getting 1 cent per point. So
Hmm.
you can do the math yourself, but there's so much information out there of like what the value of the different
Yep.
programs are that
Okay.
don't bother doing the math yourself.
Just got to keep your head from exploding somehow.
Yes.
Oh, what do you think that people often get wrong about loyalty programs, or like what are your no-nos when it comes
Mm.
to these things?
Okay, so like what I just said, all points and
Yeah.
miles aren't created equal. They're their own
Yeah.
currencies. So don't think like that just because you spend 10,000 points on one in one program to get something that you're going to get an equivalent for 10,000 points in another. It just doesn't
Hmm.
always work like that. People also think they can't belong to multiple loyalty programs, and they can, and they should. And I was saying I belong to all of them. Control the spam unless like you want to get those good promotions, but you should belong to them. People also think they can only belong to domestic programs, but there are so many international loyalty programs that
Oh yeah.
are incredible. For example, Air France KLM Flying Blue.
Hmm.
That's like my favorite international program,
Hmm.
and I love them because they are partners with so many of the credit card loyalty programs. So I can transfer from Chase, Capital One, and or Amex into Air France Flying Blue. They often have promotions for transfers like a 25% bonus. So transfer one American Airlines point and get 1.25 Flying Blue points. They often have flights from Miami to Paris in business class, 70,000 miles each way, which let's say if you try to book that through Delta, they would probably charge you 300 or 400,000 points.
I
But
see.
if you do it through Air France, KLM Flying Blue, 70,000 points.
So, can you, before you actually transfer those points, can you go and kind of spec it out? Like you could go look on Air France, how much would this cost me if I wanted to
Yes,
use
of
points
course.
versus Delta? And that's part of how you make that decision.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
before you transfer, so going back to what is a point worth,
Yeah.
the points that are in credit card programs, loyalty programs, are always considered the most valuable
Yeah.
because you have the option of choice. They're not going to go away as long as your card is open and you can transfer them as and when needed.
Yeah.
So, yes, I would recommend if you have a destination in mind, you definitely go on to the actual website of the frequent flyer program or
Hmm.
hotel loyalty program and make sure that what you're looking for is available with points before you
Got
do
it.
any transfers whatsoever.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and I mean, you can do that yourself. There are other services out there that do that. There's something called point.me,
Mm.
which is great. If you have very specific dates in mind, it'll tell you kind of like yay or nay, you can or
Hmm.
can't do this. But you put
Hmm.
in for flights, you want to fly from point A to point B, round trip on specific dates, what class you want, and we'll tell you of every award program out there, pretty much, which is the cheapest with
Yeah.
in
Okay.
points. So it'll give you the whole rundown from American Airlines to Air France KLM to Air Canada Aeroplan, and it will tell you what is the best one to do.
Amazing.
I know. There's another. We have an
Is there
article on
any?
that too. I have an article on
Okay.
that too. And then there's
The show notes is
another
gonna
one
be packed.
called Going with Points, which is my favorite. And I just put on alerts for great like points deals on flights, and when they open up, and I get notifications.
Oh,
And
that's
so
great.
that is how I got that Qatar Airways ticket to Africa just a few weeks ago,
I
because
see.
there hadn't been any Q Suite reward tickets in like a year. I got this notification from Going with Points, which I'm subscribed to, that like
Yeah.
all these seats had opened up. I went, got miles right away, booked the tickets.
Well, what do you think the future holds for loyalty programs? Like where do you think this is all going?
To go back where we started, like it's been a downward trend. I
Yeah.
feel 2023 to 2024, despite everyone kind of getting their panties in a bunch over Delta, like has been mellow and mild. And I think that we're just gonna see more things like chip away at the programs over the years, unfortunately. But you just have to get to know your program and then figure out ways to adapt. I used to be loyal to US Airways before it was part of American. I thought like, oh my God, how am I going to start working with American? And then I figure that out. And then American
Yeah.
switched to the loyalty points program, and then I figure that out. You just have to
Yeah.
be adaptable, and you have to kind of keep up with our articles on afar.com. Uh, because we report on
Excellent plug.
all these amazing things all the time. And then listen to podcasts like these to help guide you. And then you have all of the linked articles, so you can go take a deep dive to every subject we spoke about.
Earn your PhD.
Earn your PhD. But next year, I do think the big news will be the Alaska Hawaiian Air and the changes that kind of come with that, and then how that impacts the One World Alliance, and then that will definitely impact American. So we shall see. We
Trickle
shall see.
down.
We can't predict the future. I would love to say that things are just gonna get better and better, but I don't think so.
Historically, that doesn't seem to be the case. But who knows? Maybe they will surprise us.
Yes, I hope so.
Go
I
Alaska,
hope
you
so.
can do it.
I know. Let's hope. We all like to be rewarded for our loyalty in every capacity and facet of our lives, and this is one way where you can actually get tangible benefits for being loyal. So it's definitely
Love it.
worth it. And of course, as I always say, don't be scared to get a credit card to boost your elite status or to kind of get ahead of the game. You know, it's the easiest way to cheat
Yeah.
and the most legal way.
Yeah, we won't talk about the illegal ways on this podcast.
No, I don't. No. We won't do that.
Okay, that was our show. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out, and I'll include a link to the podcast below.